This episode of This Is Only a Test is brought to you by Squarespace. It's an all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website or online portfolio. They have a lot of templates, a lot of designs, and they're frequently updating them with more all the time. Support Squarespace and This Is Only a Test, our podcast, by going to their site and just trying it for a little bit. You can get 10% off your free purchase. Go to squarespace.com and use the offer code TEST. That's T-E-S-T. Just 4 characters.
Hey, let's start the show.
It's October 31st, Halloween 2013. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith. Joining me today, seated directly to my left. You're using a new mouse, Norm. What the hell is that?
No, it's just a mouse I'm borrowing.
Oh, are you mouse testing?
No, the mouse testing has been done.
The mouse testing is done.
Mouse testing is done.
It's over.
So this is just one of the fine mice that were included in that roundup.
One of the leftovers.
It is definitely left over. None of us are wearing costumes.
Well, it's not Halloween yet. Really.
I thought the costume would be professionalism.
Do I look I'm wearing a tested t-shirt.
On this side of the
I mean,
table.
you guys are wearing your like
Sweaters.
autumn preppy looks.
This is my fall look.
Joey Famelli back on the cast for the first
Hi.
time in a long time.
Yeah,
It's
I think I unplugged everything.
Are you good now?
I think I knocked out my headphones.
Do you have sound?
No, but it's all right.
Talk amongst yourselves for a moment. I'll turn you back
we
on.
can roll.
I can hear without headphones.
I know I'm fine. We don't have to.
The point of
there
wearing
we go.
headphones for people,
Boom.
Even though we can hear ourselves, isn't just to hear the music or audio questions, but also to make sure that we're talking into the mic.
Well, there's that. It's also nice because it means, like, when we're doing Oktoberkast, it means we can pump up our volume on the microphone and turn up the volume on the headphones, so we feel like we're talking louder than we are, which helps preserve the voice when you're going to talk for 24 hours.
Amplification.
Amplification is very important for a 24-hour podcast.
Speaking of which,
That's a perfect segue, Norm. Oktoberkast was this weekend. Hey, guys, I checked the total this morning, moments ago.
Wait,
even.
let me. 31.5. Too low?
that's where we want to be. That's where we were
I haven't
last year.
checked it yet. Is that where we're at? Where are we at?
Last year we hit 31.
We're at 28,523.
That's $28,000 and change and a half.
More than $1,000 an hour. Feel pretty good about that.
Raised for 3 separate charities. And do we know if this is including Gary's
It
contributions?
is not including Gary's
So
contributions
you
yet.
got to add the plus 1,000.
Yeah, where are you going to put your $500, Norm?
Oh, that's right. I get to
You get to choose Doctors Without Borders,
Child's
Play, or the Electronic Frontier Foundation.
I'm choosing Child's Play for very specific reasons.
Okay.
Why
good
did
to know.
is this for the habanero?
Yes, this was for the final habanero.
Gary committed on Twitter, which is the in modern times, it's
a contract.
The permanent record.
Yeah.
It is a contract. Yes, legally binding social internet contract.
If he welches, what can we do to him?
He can't. No,
There's no
way.
welching.
There's no. Don't give him the out.
Okay.
$1,000 is a lot of money, and he went to L.A. immediately after to make more money to pay for
Big
this.
roller.
Yeah.
Big roller Gary
His
Whitta.
contributions.
Okay, so during the show, I believe there were 3 slaps. You were slapped. I was slapped. Alexis Gajasaw from Giant Bomb was slapped.
Twice.
Oh, 4 slaps.
Yeah.
Well, the first one, Drew kind of soft-handed it. For a man of the world, somebody who's been to the behind into the axis of evil, I expected
Behind the
Drew to
curtain.
bring the fire.
I feel like everyone I saw was a little light with it.
Did you see how fast Veronica's hand
Veronica's
moved?
in the recording.
It's
Once you saw different angles, you can kind of see the.
She
the
led
power.
with the blade of her hand. It was more of a karate chop than a slap.
I am skeptical.
My jaw is still out of whack.
I am skeptical. There's so much hyperbole.
I believe 8 habaneros were consumed over the course of the show. Alexis ate 1. You ate 1. I ate 1. That's 3. Jeff Gersman ate 1. That's 4.
That was
real bad.
fantastic. His reaction.
Vinny and
Darren and Vinny ate 1 each. And then My favorite part of the show was when Joey nonchalantly just walked out and was like, "Oh yeah, habanero." Nom, nom, nom.
Prefaced by you guys are idiots.
Yeah,
You guys are dummies. I
You
believe
guys
I
are
said.
dummies. Let me
Yeah,
have one.
it started hitting me when I was in the control room.
yeah. It hit me when I was sitting on the screen on the air doing the final wrap up. Let me tell you, not forgetting stuff while you're thinking, "Wow, my mouth really burns," is hard to do. Norm, you had I think the best reaction though.
I got through tears.
Did you remember that you were a super taster before you put the pepper
Nope.
in your mouth?
Yeah, that's the.
Nope.
Yeah.
So it's not the size of the pepper.
No.
It's how many seeds are in
It's
the pepper.
and so we talked to our chef friend Tracy
Ocean of the
Desjardins
ocean.
about this. She said that that they individually, like when they bring peppers into the restaurant to cook with, before they use one, they taste each one to make sure it's not too spicy or not spicy enough. Because even inside peppers in one batch, there can be a variance in spiciness.
So yeah, same with like I found that with jalapenos and
Yeah.
I mean even if you go through the process of deveining and deseeding and whatnot, they still.
I think she was talking about jalapenos with that. Like in restaurants they taste all of them.
So I used to make a lot of habanero salsa and just a little bit of something acidic like a vinegar or like a carrot, like something to a little bit of that kind of stuff can really mellow that stuff out and makes it totally
Carrot?
tolerable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like food processor, put a little bit of carrot in there and a little bit of vinegar and like. all
What
of a
about
sudden the heat is brought.
you're speaking of vinegar, like some kimchi, like radish,
Acid.
Like-
Anything with acid will help.
like delicious radish fermented in some vinegar.
Are there kimchis with like jalapenos and spicy vegetables?
I don't know. I don't know how to make kimchi.
Neither do I.
I know,
Pots.
I know how to enjoy it
What's
that's it.
clay.
because that's very flavorful and not very. And it's hot,
Yeah.
but it's more of a flavor.
I could use a little habanero in my kimchi. I think that'd be good.
8 habaneros,
Let's see. We made 2 Lego builds.
2 Lego builds.
2 Lego builds.
How many cups of milk consumed? Like 3 cups of
We
milk.
drank almost a half gallon of milk all told.
Had a lot of
Counting the bowls of cereal though too. 2 bowls of Count Chocula eaten, I believe. We drank 2 cases of Diet Coke, a case of Red Bull, sugar-free Red Bull, about 3/4 of a bottle of Black Blood of the Earth, the big one. It looked like a 1 liter bottle.
5 pastrami
3
sandwiches.
pizzas, 5 pastrami sandwiches, 3 bags of chips, a bag of Reese's peanut butter cups, the miniature size, not the minis and not the full size, and a bag of Twixes and some carrots.
Chicken wings, I think, were being.
Oh, there were chicken wings
chomped
too?
on.
Oh, I
Were
missed
those
the chicken wings.
Gary, I think, took all the chicken wings that you ordered and
Yeah.
just put them in front of me. And then,
yeah.
I'm really I'm sorry about that.
I came out here and grabbed one. All I really wanted was one when I got it.
And I just ate all the chicken wings.
I was thinking like, I should call the guy. He didn't bring our chicken wings. And then I look on the monitor and I see
And Gary's just like
eating them.
eating
So-
all the chicken wings.
So, and I have to apologize because despite multiple requests over the years to please not eat on camera, at 2 a.m.
Some
the
people
rules
did it
of
right.
society break down. Yeah, Norm, you
leaned back.
you leaned away from the
Leaned
mic
away.
to chew.
Yep.
You guys need like a cough button or some kind of
you just
muting.
need to stab Gary in the eyeball when he starts eating fucking chicken wings on camera. See, we drove about 150 miles. I had trouble getting an exact count on Euro Truck Sim, and we escaped the dread halls. So
Those horror games.
it was scary.
That was
tell
the
you.
best.
The
They were-
screaming.
They're actually not that scary.
Yeah.
That
it
dread
was-
halls was pretty scary.
It was a weird time because I was back there, and back there I can't turn the lights on without the lights coming on in here, so I have to sit there in the dark in the control room. And
Yeah.
you guys started playing them, and then
Oh,
I
and you just
started,
saw the screen.
Yeah, I'm
the
sitting there
full
watching
screen.
the Oculus screen. And I keep hearing something behind me. I keep turning around, getting
And
real
so you decided to
freaked
come
out.
into the
so I came
light.
out here.
Came out here because you're already scared, and you're even more
Yeah,
scared out
and then
here.
I put the headphones on, and Will's screaming was amplified, and it was freaking me out even more.
Well, so the horror games were much less scary because like there were other people around. Like if you were sitting in a dark room late at
Yeah.
night playing those games with the Oculus on and you were totally ensconced in the game, that the Alone in the Oculus would have been terrifying with the jump scares with the little Japanese girl,
Which one? Oh yeah.
and Dread Halls would have been really fucking scary. I feel like we lost a lot of the scariness, but still the jump scares. I am a complete sucker for jump scares. I can't avoid screaming when I see them. Don't ever go to horror movies with me.
The trick is to train your brain to just swear,
like
instead
roller coaster
of-
style.
instead of screaming. So when you watch horror movies and there's a jump scare, instead of screaming and raising the pitch of your voice by several octaves, all you do is let out a fuck that shit.
Language, sir.
I'm the kind of guy that like when I go see a movie, then it makes me like if I jump really hard, then like it makes me kind of laugh after, like that nervous
yeah.
laugh after, like oh my god, like I'm a wuss.
I can't remember the last time I saw a horror movie in the theater. It's probably been 15 years.
And
20
you know
years.
what? It does help talking to the TV.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Still go upstairs.
Don't do that. You don't want to do
no.
that. It helps. It
Yeah.
really helps.
What was it? One of the games we were playing, I don't remember which one it was, but I was like, even in Dread Halls, I was absolutely doing things that are absolutely against the rules of horror movie survival. Like I was running into dead ends, I was closing doors behind me, I was doing all the backing away from the camera, all the stuff you're not supposed to do.
Well, like the don't look behind you thing is something I used to always do. Like in the very first few Resident Evil games, these are freaking me out. You know, I was younger, came out on PlayStation 1, the Resident Evil 1.
Yeah.
I would just run into every room and just run around in a circle as fast as I can to activate all the events so nothing could jump out and scare me, and then run back to the door and start shooting things.
I have to ask, why on earth did you, if you were so scared of this, you wanted the scare?
Kind of, yeah. I don't think I've ever played that game alone either. I think I always pull somebody in with me. Hey, come over.
It's a good idea. You want to watch me play a video game?
I drank 10 cups of coffee from
Holy
6
cow.
a.m. till 9 a.m. I realized that.
So what happens after Oktoberkast? The thing that people don't see, and I guess you saw a little bit because we ran the corner cam feed, I think, for a little bit. Maybe we didn't. The camera turns off at the end of the 24 hours, and at that point, it's just like, oh, I can relax. It's done. We're done. We don't have to do this again for another year. We got 12 months. And then everybody kind of gets up and looks around and you're like, really? We're clear? And then we clean up the mess because there's food everywhere and it's turned into kind of a disaster zone usually.
I kind of feel like it's the end of, like Lord of the Flies. Was that the one with the kids on the island?
Yeah, it's like the ship comes.
When the ship comes and all the kids just kind of like enter back into reality. Like,
It's like, oh, I killed Piggy.
oh God, all the things we've done.
Yeah, the guy's holding the piggy head right here and he's like,
I just need a hug. Like,
shit, where's my
Simon.
mom?
like fading to black, then standing up like, who are we?
Yeah, what have we become?
I'm so hungry I could eat Arby's.
Right now?
No, that was
Oh,
from
after.
The Simpsons.
Well, I know that's from The Simpsons, but I mean,
And that was the Simpsons Lord of the Flies episode.
oh, that's where that quote. That's one of my favorite quotes. I had no idea this was the Lord of the Flies
yeah.
episode.
And it was berries. They eat the berries in the episode.
Yes, and then they hunt Ralph.
And
Or Martin.
No, Martin is Piggy.
Martin is Piggy. So Oktoberkast was a huge success. All of the archives are up. You can watch. I would highly recommend watching most of it in video. They're on the podcast feed as well. If you're listening to This Is Only Test, you can go back and download the old ones, especially the late night stuff with the Oculus and the horror games and Gary chewing into the microphone. Much better experienced on video than audio. There's some real magic that happens there in the wee hours of the morning, and that's it. We drove a lot of trucks. Norm, you suffered mightily for the Oculus. You hung in there for almost 2 hours, right at 2 hours, and it was astounding.
It was very tough.
Your intestinal
Almost in the money.
fortitude.
Almost into the money.
So, I mean, just to be clear, when the Oculus guys, when they talked to us the very first time about motion sickness, they were like, "Look, here's the thing: if you start getting motion sick, no one can push through it. You're not going to come out the other side and suddenly feel better. The only way to make it go away is to take the glasses off and to, be in the real world for a little bit and then put them back on again and kind of build your tolerance for that."
It's the luxury you don't have when you're out in a boat in the ocean.
Yes.
You're just forced to start throwing up, and then you just keep going.
Just keep throwing up or take your Dramamine.
I thought that was what it was going to come to when Norm was.
I didn't want to throw up on our
We didn't have a
our
bucket.
carpet. It was more the smells that
Oh, God, that would be horrible.
I wanted to spare everyone from. But there was at one point the burping, and the
Was that when you punched out?
the yawning, the burping, and I think there's a lot of burping, and the
Was your mouth watery like
Perrier.
that pre throw up kind of?
No, it was more
Viscous
the
mucus?
Yeah.
feeling right in the diaphragm.
Like it's rising up. Now, you had a strategy that seemed to be a pretty good coping strategy for a while there, where you were driving the truck at about
Very
4 miles
slow.
an hour with
Very
your head
slow.
down on the wheel.
Yep.
And I assume your eyes were closed in there.
Just
Oh,
the
no?
slow-
Eyes open?
The slow windshield wipers
Yeah, the rhythmic beating of the wipers. Fum, 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 fum,
It's a great
fum,
game.
fum.
There's some
It
great,
is a great game.
screen grabs of just you hunched over the wheel, just looking down.
That's how I imagine the life of a trucker.
Too many white crosses, man. So that's Oktoberkast. The archives are up. I highly encourage everybody to go watch it. I think we did a really great show this year.
I highly encourage everyone to donate.
And I was going to
Still.
say, if you've watched, you should donate. We have a literal ton of good loot that's going to be raffled off at the end of the donation period. So the
Maybe
donations,
not that much. Maybe not.
it's not a physical ton; it's a metaphorical ton. It is the donation period ends on November 15th. Sorry, 21 days after Oktoberkast started, and we're hoping to get on the high side of 30 grand, which, given that Gary still has an outstanding $1,000, shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, so that's us. That's Oktoberkast. You should watch. You should donate. Thank you so much to CrowdTilt for waiving their normal fees and letting us donate 97.5% of the money raised directly to charity. All of the money in the totals raised, they've already taken the 2.5% out before they say that. Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and Diners Club got to get paid, apparently. If you want to know about the stuff that people have donated to be raffled, there's a post on the site that Norm did on Monday, I guess. Seems like so long ago. But it's all sorts of good stuff. There is a Stein of Science from Phil Broughton, who, by the way, we got to get him on the regular podcast. He is the most interesting dude I've ever met, I think. He makes Black Blood of the Earth and has been to Antarctica and lived at the South Pole over the winter. So, I mean, that's a relatively, it's kind of like going to ISS but colder, I think.
Cryotechnician.
Is that what he did there?
Yep.
Wow.
We have Bill Doran from Punished Props made a space gun. It's one of the prototypes that he was making in the run-up for his Kickstarter. It's custom for tested, super cool. Jeremy Williams made the game frame, which is his. You saw it first. Norm called it the grid. He called it Pixel Box. And it is a 16 by 16 grid of LEDs that'll back illuminate, and it looks awesome. And you can put cool pixel art on it, and there's tools to help you create that stuff. It is super duper cool.
There will be a Kickstarter. We'll be announcing it here, but this raffle is for one of the very first production ones.
Yeah, you'll get this very early on. Is it for the first production or a prototype? He said if the Kickstarter doesn't fund, he'll give one of the prototypes. So that's super cool. Andreas Ekberg, who you guys met at Maker Faire New York, I didn't get to meet him, made a custom tested longboard with the 4 blockheads, Adam, Jamie, Norm, and me. I think it's pretty rad. Smooth On donated a zombie makeup kit, which we should actually probably have done during the show. I remember we said we were going to do that early on. But anyway, you can be a zombie next Halloween. It's fine. Lloyd donated a Paul Peterson game, Smash Up. It's a standalone expansion for Smash Up the game. It's the Cthulhu expansion, and it's a good, quick game to learn for people who may not like board games. And Scott Johnson of Frog Pants and My Extra Life has donated 3 rad prints, including, I think my favorite is the Breaking Batman one. It's a 20-inch by 30-inch print, so it's a big thing you can hang on your wall. Tested fireball magnets, all sorts. I feel like there's some other things that we're forgetting, but yeah, that's it. So in order to win, you have to have donated. We're going to pull a list of all the donors and pick winners, and I don't know how we're going to distribute the prizes. Maybe the first person who wins gets first dibs and second one gets second dibs, or we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll make that a live show or something. So that's Oktoberkast. Are you guys recovered?
Yeah.
Feeling good, Joey?
Yeah.
We had help. We had people come in and help.
Want to give shout outs to your production assistants?
Yeah. My friend Tim Saluzzo, paramedic, and
Oh, if only we had IVs.
Yeah, I mean, we should have gotten him to IV fluidus. I was so dehydrated by the end of this.
I thought about that. I thought about having him bring
That would have been so
his
cool
IV
to do
and
on
saline
camera.
packs.
No, not on camera. No deals on camera. People get really freaked out.
Yeah, I don't
Really?
know the deals with that, the rules.
Yeah.
That stuff's great when you're feeling a little down.
Get the bag on the table.
Yeah.
You got to raise it above.
Or we just throw it on a C-stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, a C-stand
just have
IV
that
and like
thing.
just not walk away and
Yeah, he could have came out here and just hooked you guys up. You guys could just kept on going.
Wow,
for
never
24
seen
hours.
Glucose strips. Can you do glucose?
I don't know. I'll ask him about that.
Get us a little extra juice going.
And then also my friend Dustin Hendricks. programmer, indie game developer.
All around good dude.
Good dude.
Thanks to everybody who came. All of our
natural section dude.
No, he did a little iOS RPG called Kingdoms Fall, I think.
I hope that's right.
Hope that's right. Go check it out.
Thanks to all of our guests who came out. We had a fantastic roster of people, including the Slappers. Norm, you've now been hit in the face by a Mythbuster by Adam Savage. How do you feel? Do you feel different? Have you washed that cheek?
Absolutely.
Did he hit you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Did it sting for a while, or was it?
No. Shrugged it right off.
You walked off. You went straight to Peppers after that. And
It's
you were
probably a
to
good
go.
wake-up. Just
Yeah. That's,
boom. I'm up
That's
another-
why it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Slaps were very appropriate.
Nothing like getting hit in the face. Speaking of slaps in the face, the early iPad Air reviews are out. No iPad Mini Retina reviews yet. I don't know what that segue means.
Good attempt.
The basic high points are that Anand has shown that the A7 in the iPad Air, it has a 100 megahertz clock boost over the one in the iPhone 5S. But also benchmarks have shown that that the CPU in the Air and the tablet throttles much less aggressively than the iPhone does, which I assume is both a battery and heat issue.
Mostly a heat issue.
Yeah, because the iPhone 5S does get warm when you're doing things like shooting high-speed video or compressing video to send to the internet, stuff like that.
Which the iPad cannot do, even though it has the same processor.
It doesn't have the camera.
The camera is the same as last year's.
So yeah, it's the 4S camera. Is that right? It's not the 1.5 micron micron pixel sensor. Anything else on the? I mean, other than that, people said it's light. It's nice. People like it. It seems good. I didn't get anything else from the reviews that I read that was particularly interesting.
Everyone said this is the follow-up to the iPad 2 that everyone wanted.
The lighter than iPad 2. With
Lighter
Retina.
and better and longer battery life than anything.
10 hours battery is what the
10
consensus
plus
is.
hours battery with the smaller actual physical battery.
That seems pretty good.
Out this Friday, tomorrow.
Are you going to go get in line, or are you ordering?
I am gonna get in line to get one to review.
Oh, maybe I'll come down and visit you in the line. The benchmarks. The one thing that Anand did say is that the benchmarks that really hammered the CPU probably don't reflect real for both the 5S and the Air. Probably don't reflect real world performance simply because no iOS apps really are hitting CPUs that hard right now. So the theory is that it's headroom, and he thinks that the A7 will be much more interesting when it's the base target for developers rather than the high end that is relatively scarce in the ecosystem.
Other big revelation is that both the iPad Air and the iPhone 5S only have 1 gig of RAM.
Still,
A7 is still dual core also, and the 1 gig of RAM Anand feels is a bottleneck for performance.
the one thing he did say is that it's pretty much the fastest tablet that's available, including the Surface 2, which is powered by Tegra 4, and all of the Android stuff that's been out for a while now. So, Motorola announced Project Aura. Is that how you say it? Do you know?
I think it's Aura.
Aura.
Mm-hmm.
So this is. Well, see, we talked about a modular phone, and I can't remember what it was called. It was
Phone
Phone Blocks a few weeks ago.
Phenomenon of this year. Viral video in the tech world.
Wasn't the day of Phone Blocks marketing supposed to be like last Saturday or something?
I don't
the
know.
26th. It was Oktoberkast Day. Anyway, so Motorola is pitching a more practical promise, like the evolution of that idea. Is that a fair assessment? What is Aura, Norm?
Phone blocks was a concept. I forget the name of the guy who came up with the video, but the idea that of modular phone. And it kind of ties into the New York Times Sunday story this year or this past weekend, claiming that the Apple plans obsolescence into its devices, and it was heavily critiqued. The idea is that smartphones today, because of certain design constraints, because of the 2 years cycle for contracts, people are kind of forced into buying smartphones every 2 years or so.
Even if you don't want to upgrade.
Even if you don't want to upgrade, because for some reason, some people feel that at the 2 year mark, their phones either the battery life just drops significantly, or that the software that gets released for their phones slows their phones down.
There was you're talking about the New York Times article.
This is the Sunday New York Times story. And I think in the iOS world, people definitely do feel some of that because the batteries are designed for a limited number of cycles, and people recharging their phones regularly, they will wear their battery life down, and the capacity of the battery is nowhere near as strong 2 years later, even 1 year later than it was when you first bought it. It's just depreciation.
70. Sometimes you'll be running at 70% of the capacity after a couple of years.
So if you buy a phone and it lasts you for 10 hours of normal use, 2 years later, you might only get 5 or 6 hours of regular use, even when you've charged it to full capacity. And also with software updates, for example, iOS 7, if you put that on an iPhone 4S, then that some people have said that the
Or iPhone
4S
4.
or iPhone 4 or even on the iPad 2, it's an unusable experience. And whether this is because it's just designed that way or not, that is undetermined.
I wouldn't say it's I mean, on an iPad Mini, it is not necessarily unusable, but it is not great. Joe, you're running Galaxy Nexus now, which is
More than
you're
2 years.
I've had this about
yeah.
a little over 2 years.
And you have and 4.3, 4.3 is out for it. People can put 4.3 on it. I think performance is the newest versions of Android make the phones run even better.
Yeah, I haven't had any performance problems with this phone. The batteries,
The battery problem is
4 or
universal.
5 hours.
It's because with non-replaceable batteries, that's the way it works. The lithium polymer batteries, and
especially if you don't treat the battery well. Like if you
Probably my case, yeah.
yeah, if you don't run it down fairly regularly and
to 40 to 70%.
yeah, you want to live in that middle spot, not use the extremes as
You
often
want
as
to live in
have
the
to.
40 to 70, top it off once a week, and drain it down once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
Or-
if I got a new battery for this, I'd be fine.
The other thing you could do is just use your phone and not worry about it and replace it every 2 years.
Which is what some people don't want to do, because having to re-up on contract every 2 years is the bigger cost.
Well, we're reaching a point where the upgrades are more incremental on across the board. You know, if you look at the cameras in the newer phones, yes, the cameras are better and they do things that are neat. But the high-speed camera in the 5S is a luxury, not a necessity. And it is really, you know, my father's using his iPhone 4S. He bought it on launch day. He's still perfectly happy with it and has no desire to upgrade to new hardware. He likes the size of it, and he likes that design better than the current 5 and 5S design. So
Yeah, my parents like their 4 and 4S that I get from them, and I asked, "Do you want a 5? Do you want a 5C?" And they go, "No, you give me your 5." I'm not giving you my 5.
yeah,
I really
You're
just
not
want
even
like
using it, Norm. Jeez.
a solid phone / point and shoot camera. Like,
Yeah.
if I was to upgrade this, it's because I'm not digging the camera.
So
Yeah.
the idea of phone blocks, which it first released as a YouTube video, now with 17 million views.
That's
is that
a
you
lot
can
of views.
Design a modular phone where you can swap out things like not only the battery, but the camera, the interface. If you want to have a smaller screen with a keyboard, or instead a full screen, or a higher resolution screen, all sorts of things you can swap out. And we talked to people who worked in in the maker community, and engineers, and even people like Bunny Huang, who designed the Chumby, and they said it's all possible, but there are just limitations in terms of bandwidth and power.
The
And-
types of connectors you can get aren't conducive to high bandwidth, high speed, high reliability connectors that you need for that kind of phone, right?
And doing something like this, absolutely feasible from a technical standpoint, but what you're going to end up is with a larger overall device. Phones are parts are not replaceable on phones these days because they are designed for a perfect fit for that size. And if you're okay with a phone that's physically bigger, but that you can swap out parts, then that's something that's possible. So Motorola has a bunch of experiments going on since Google bought them. They actually hired the woman who ran DARPA's competition, annual competition, to run kind of like their moonshot projects at Motorola. And this is one of the things that came out of that. It's Project Aura, and I think they're actually working with the phone blocks guy now also. But the idea is exactly the phone blocks thing. You buy a frame and you buy different modules for that phone, and you can swap out things like the display, like the camera, like the battery. Still not a real product yet, and you can sign up to be part of their Explorers program and get more information. But it's something that's still it's just a concept, and they're really just feeling the waters and seeing how people receive it.
So they Motorola also unveiled the follow up to the X, which I think they're going to call the Q. Is that right? Or G? I can't remember. I didn't put it on the list because I didn't think it was that interesting. But they're basically the Moto X design, the whole customizable phone UI or phone structure and all that is something that they're going to keep going forward with. They thought it was good. It's going well for them, I suppose. Amazon rolled out Matchbook this week. Matchbook is remember when Amazon said, "Hey, if you've bought a CD from us in the last 8 to 12 years, 15 years, whatever it is, and you bought it from Amazon proper, then we'll just add the MP3s to your cloud player because it's auto rip," I think is what they called that. It's like that, but with many, many fewer titles. So if this is like what Matchbook does is if you bought a physical version of a book for a nominal fee or sometimes free, you can then get the Kindle version of that book added to your account automatically. And you go to the Matchbook page. It says, "Hey, check and see which books are available for my account," and then it pulls from your whole queue, and you have to click on each one to see what it costs.
And only about 75,000 or so books.
It's 75,000 or so books. I have not done a comprehensive count of the number of books, physical books I've bought from Amazon over the last decade, but it is upwards of 1,000 books, and I think I had 8 titles that were eligible. Right out the gate.
Now, here's my question. When you're shopping for ebooks,
yes.
So if people are accustomed now, instead of they read ebooks, they have a Kindle, and they don't go to the physical bookstore, the Amazon like paper bookstore. They go to the Kindle store.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a book that's compatible and that's a Kindle book, will that be marked as compatible with Matchbook on the Kindle page?
So
to get you to buy the physical book?
I don't think so. I don't
can't go backwards.
I don't know that I can tell because I've already bought the books that I know that are compatible or I've already purchased. I'll go look right now and see. I know
that's what would be useful to me because most people are buying Kindle books now, and you go to the Kindle page for a new book and say, I could also I could buy the paper book first and then get the ebook for only $2 more. Then that's better than paying the full $10-15 for the ebook.
So here is, okay, so first off, everything shows up the way it always did, right? So like when you go to the Cryptonomicon page, it shows you the Kindle edition, the library edition, the paperback, the mass market paperback, the audio cassette unabridged, the Audible audio edition, and an unknown binding, which is I think a hardback probably usually. It does not say this is a Matchbook enabled anywhere that I see. And I'm going to search for Matchbook on the page. And Matchbook does not show up. So they just rolled out the program 2 days ago, so who knows?
So this is for people who want the physical book, but also want to keep their foot into the Kindle.
Who want a way to upgrade to ebooks? It's upgrade path. It's to get people to get ebooks.
Okay.
For people who will buy physical books.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: it is a value add for people who bought a bunch of paper books and then have transitioned to Kindle. But when I had a room in my house that was basically a reading chair and a fold-out guest sofa and 4 bookshelves full of paper books. When that is now the baby's room and it is not filled with paper books anymore, those all had to go someplace. And I'd much rather have ebook versions of them at this point, just from a space standpoint.
But you still want you want to keep on.
I mean, some of them I'll keep reading, and for me that $1 to $2 price is a good compromise. Like I would rather they be free, but Cryptonomicon is a book that I revisit every 10 or so years, and it's coming up on time to read it. And I'd much rather pay $1 or $2 to get it again than 10.
Yeah.
So, and as with large, it's. Especially when you're talking about big, huge books like Neil Stephenson books or whatever that are 6-pound hardbacks, I'd much rather read a Kindle version that weighs the same as my Kindle does every day.
The Game of Thrones series has been fantastic on Kindle.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I don't want to carry around that thing on planes.
Yeah, and there's a convenience factor too. I mean, I can fit 1,000 books or something on my. Anyway, it's really good. I wish that there were more books enabled. I think, as I understand it, the challenge is that with the music stuff, it was just the music labels that had to sign on. With this, it's the publishers and the authors that have to be involved and have to agree to it. So it's going to roll out slowly.
Which is another way to look at it. It's a good thing because the publishing business gives more rights to authors than
yeah.
the music business.
Oh, it's definitely a
and
good
musicians.
thing. Definitely a good thing. I mean, I feel like it's the kind of thing that just every few months I'll check back on and see what's popped up as available now. So, yeah, that's Matchbook. Matchbook.
I think it's a terrible name.
AutoRip was a bad name too. So Amazon's not awesome at names. I still don't think Paperwhite is a great name either.
Match Rip.
And let's be perfectly frank, Kindle says nothing to me about ebook reading, except for the fact that everybody knows what a Kindle is now, and their marketing has been good. So
Kindle
maybe
says
they're
we burn
good.
books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Die
Hey,
books die.
Do you like books?
We're in German. D books D.
Put them on fire. The PS4, Sony announced a FAQ. They launched a FAQ yesterday, the day before now, that has all the details of the PS4 launch. It is exhaustive. It tells you all the stuff that you can and cannot do at launch. It tells you about the Day Zero patch, which they are calling PlayStation 1.5, PlayStation 4 1.5 software. It tells us the name of the new menu. The old one was called the Crossbar
Never knew
system.
that.
Yeah.
With cross with an X.
I think they spelled it out and had an X at different times. On the FAQ, it was called the Crossbar with the CROSS. The new one is called the PlayStation Dynamic Menu.
The PDM. Right.
Yes, the PDM. I assume we're at 1.0. It's going to ship in the box, and it's going to go to 1.5 the first time you connect it to the internet. While it's connecting and downloading that update, you'll be able to play offline games that are on discs, but you won't be able to connect to PSN or download games from the store or anything like that. There'll be a Day Zero patch, just like with the Wii U last year. I presume there will also be one for the Xbox One. That patch will enable a lot of stuff that won't work out of the box. Things like Blu-ray and DVD playback.
Not enabled out of the box.
Not enabled out of the box. Face recognition and voice commands.
Are these things that they wanted to just, all right, we'll put this to the side, get everything else ready for the launch, and then once the console's locked and we can work on this stuff afterwards? Was this a time management kind of decision, or?
I assume that the firmware on these consoles has been locked since May or April.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
So they knew they'll have some time to just punch in that update.
So the goal was to make a piece of software by then that could download and update itself, and then also play disc-based games.
Day Zero patch is nothing new, and it's totally accepted.
Yeah.
The question is, like, how big is it going to be? How long it'll take to download? Will servers be able to handle it? Will it implode like the Wii U stuff did last year?
Right. The right thing would do would include a USB key with every purchase at the GameStop, and you can install from that.
I think the Xbox launched during Christmas, or during Christmas, it was everything kind of shut down. Xbox Live, and you guys remember that?
Right.
Just
Yeah.
Big.
Well, for a while, every time Call of Duty came out, Xbox Live shut down. So I feel like they've got a better handle on that stuff now on the Xbox side, and they're using the Azure, which is Microsoft's cloud computing provider, to host that stuff on the Xbox One. So they should have essentially infinite scale for things like hot new games coming out and stuff that would previously have broken Xbox Live. The Day Zero patch, PlayStation Dynamic Menu 1.5, will include the ability to stream to Ustream and Twitch, using the button that's on the controller. The ability to watch other people's streams, play as you download. So if you go to a store, buy a game, download it, you can go play something else. Sorry. Or you can start playing the game while it's downloading. So if you buy Killzone 3 from the PlayStation Store, you can download it and play it at the same time.
Well, is there currently it's about 70-80% you can start playing?
No, right now on the PlayStation, on the PS3, you have to download the whole thing. You have to have double the disk capacity available to decompress the file that you download, and then you can play it once it's all the way down. It takes forever. It's a really terrible experience. I think that they're using that Gaikai stuff, the Gaikai purchase, to do this, but I'm not 100% on that. It was
So you're going to
unclear.
be streaming your games
Seems like you'll be streaming it first.
while also downloading.
Yes.
That's going to be great for bandwidth.
Well, so, I mean, I think the idea is that you have that first session that you play with the game. It's on the streaming service. And then after that, you put the PlayStation to sleep, and it keeps downloading and does the rest while you're not using the game. I don't know. We'll see.
I want to see End Trigger capability. Can you
What's
do that?
end trigger?
Well, like I just had this
There is
fantastic kill.
Yeah.
I want to record the last 2 minutes. I want to push the last 2 minutes of my gameplay out.
I have it on PC.
Yeah.
Did they really?
Yeah.
That is something?
If you have
NVIDIA announced
if
that.
you have a newer NVIDIA card, you can do that.
Yeah.
I want to say one of the consoles does that too, but I don't remember which one. I think the Xbox has that, and I assume that the PlayStation can do it too, but I don't know for sure.
That was something that OnLive had also, because it was all being streamed and saved and recorded.
They don't call it end trigger. What's the word I'm looking for?
It's
they
like
call
game buffer or something like that. It's
Oh, they don't.
you could on the with NVIDIA cards you can devote hard drive space to it and just say I want to keep like the last 30 minutes of gameplay, and then you alt tab out and launch GeForce Experience and save it.
Wow, technology. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
The face recognition and voice commands, if you have a PlayStation Eye, which they're selling at launch for $60, I think, and that's a stereo camera with microphones, so it can look and see who has which controller and know that this is my face and that's Norm's face, and log us both in individually, so we don't have to like sign in or anything like that once you've associated with the console. And then they announced some other stuff about the service. You can have 2,000 friends on PlayStation Network now.
2,000?
2,000 friends.
Who has 2,000 friends?
That's bananas.
Major Nelson has 2,000 friends.
Yeah.
But he's on Xbox. The NVIDIA thing was called Shadow Play, and the buffer was 20 minutes.
Shadow
good.
play.
That's a pretty good name.
Yeah.
Shadow Play.
You think
And
so?
20 minutes of buffer. Was also
20
pretty good.
minutes is pretty good too.
Yeah.
20 minutes is a lot. That's more than you need.
Yeah. But you can specify like give me the last 14 minutes.
Right.
Cool.
Yes. There's still no way to change your PSN ID. So if you were 15 years old and signed up for PlayStation Network and called yourself Sexy Girl 420 XXX, you're boned. You can't change that.
So I'm stuck with Bazooka Joey 831.
Bazooka Joey is it. I'm Wilski, I think.
Not in Japan.
Why not in Japan?
You can change it. You could in Japan. You could change
You can always change it in Japan?
Let's go.
Yeah, the good news is you can now connect Facebook, and if you do that, your real name will show up underneath your lame handle.
Oh, cool.
So people will know that Bazooka Joey is Joey Famelli.
Oh, I don't know about that.
There's no DLNA client in the PS4, which is causing something of an uproar today. I didn't realize that people still use the DLNA client in the PS3 and the Xbox 360 is what you used to stream videos from a DLNA server to a console, the last generation of consoles. So if you had like DVD rips that were in the appropriate format, or if you used a DLNA streaming server like PS4 media server, you could transcode the video, repackage it in the right container, and send it out to the Xbox or PS3.
Are Plex in these any of these systems?
There's no Plex in these as of right now. I would assume that if they open up the apps on either side, people will build Plex for them for both of these platforms. So Plex works a little bit differently because Plex, you can just say, hey, this is the file server with my files on it. You know how to decode all of this video. Go nuts. Mm-hmm. You know, there's not the client server thing. There's only one piece of software to set up. Same thing for XBMC or Boxy when you could still use that. So I didn't realize that people were still using DLNA servers because it's such a uniformly shitty experience. Like there's always a pause while you wait for the transcoding to start. You have to have kind of a big PC doing the transcoding because like if you're transcoding 720p or 1080p Blu-ray rips, like that is a challenging mathematical exercise. So you couldn't do it on like a NAS box or something like that. You have to actually have it on a PC server. But apparently a lot of people are using DLNA servers still, and they are all livid that the PS4 is not going to have a DLNA client. Same thing for the Xbox One, I assume.
These boxes can do everything. It can only do everything except
This box
video
is for
streaming.
playing games, Norm. PS4 is a game-playing machine. Also, you can only listen to music on the PlayStation 4 from Sony's music service. So how many times in your console playing careers have you queued up some sweet MP3s that you ripped to your console and then listened to them while you were playing your game?
0.
Joey?
I think I did it once.
Kind of
for
to see
Tony
what
Hawk?
you could do?
What was it for?
Oh,
It's a racing game.
Like Fallout or something.
Oh, something you were just spending
Something
tons
I
of
was
time
just
in?
like traversing the land. I was like, I'm gonna listen to this album. But
It's
no.
a little skinny puppy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm alright with not having.
So you can't do that anymore unless you pay for Sony's music service, Music Unlimited. People are pissed off about this. Again, like whatever.
Is there Xbox Music on Xbox One
Yeah, of course there's Xbox Music on Xbox
with the
One.
radio?
What do you mean? Like
X-
free?
Xbox Music has radio.
Yeah.
Free
I assume
streaming.
that all of that stuff works just like it does on Windows 8.
Okay, well that's perfect.
Yeah.
I'll use that.
It's the same service. Same thing. Music. I don't care. Don't listen to music while you play games. Listen to the score.
Yeah.
People work really hard making awesome music for games. Listen to the music in the game.
When you spend 140 hours on Fallout, though, you get a little tired of the 1950s jingles that they play over and over.
Every time you step out of a vault and that music cues, I'm excited. It makes me happy. The other thing is, this is a big deal. Standby mode, the thing that lets you put the PC into into the PS4 into super low power mode and download stuff in the background, update your apps and all that stuff. That's not going to be in until after the 1.5 patch at some point in the future.
After
So-
the day zero patch.
After the day zero patch. Don't know when. They'll announce it on the PlayStation blog. Finally, they are saying that you can put it in either the horizontal or the vertical orientation. Either one works. I think the Xbox has to be horizontal. That's the latest on that. Maybe you can do it in vertical, but they don't recommend it. And finally, the PS4 is coming with a mono headset, which they may have announced before, and I just didn't hear. So it plugs into the controller just like the current Xbox One does. So everyone will have a headset.
You guys verticals or horizontals?
Horizontals.
Yeah.
We live in an earthquake zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who wants to load on a tray?
Then you
Slot
can't tell which
drives,
way is
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So that's the PS4 fact. It was a massive. There's a ton more stuff in there, but that's kind of the high points. Are either of you getting consoles day
I was
zero?
just gonna ask you guys, what are you guys
Nope.
getting? I'm not getting it day zero. I'm probably gonna get it Q2 of 2014.
Like Watch Dogs time, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah. Probably PlayStation.
I have pre-orders for both, and I don't know that I'm going to keep them.
I think I do too. I think I should cancel.
Don't
those.
forget.
Yeah, I'm gonna forget.
I mean, there's always the gamble. You could take the gamble and be an eBay scumbag.
I don't. I'm no good at that. Tried that.
You're no good at the eBay part or the scumbag part?
Both. I fell apart.
Because if you're no good at the eBay part, I can help you with that, and you just take care of the scumbag part.
NSA. This just broke this morning as we were recording this. The first details are coming out, but the NSA apparently had another system that has been spying on us and the world. This one is called Muscular. It sits between. So basically, this takes advantage of the fact that Yahoo and Google, and it's designed. It seems like it's purely designed to target Yahoo and Google. That they have multiple data centers throughout the world, and that those data centers have to communicate with each other to sync the same information across multiple places. Basically, what these do is sit between those data centers and the internet and take everything that comes in or out of them and goes to other data centers, and then collects all of your information that way. So it seems like they're purely targeting stuff like Maps, Gmail, Google Docs, Yahoo Mail, those kinds of services. They aren't interested in web crawling, like search engine information, that kind of stuff. And they think that it's probably actually legal this time. Doesn't fall under the court that was set up to justify in U.S. spying with PRISM. But it's probably legal because the connections they're sniffing are actually between the Yahoo and Google data centers that are not in the United States. So it's the same data that's also stored in the United States, but because they can get it on one of the other 3 continents that those data centers live on, probably okay and doesn't require the FISA court approval.
Do you see Joey and my eyes both glaze over?
It's real bad, guys.
Same time.
We've reached the point where we just need to burn down the NSA.
So you're saying because
That's where we're
it's
at.
pinging some offshore spot?
Wow, you actually listen to that.
This is important stuff, guys. It's freedom.
I just got an invitation to watch Thor.
Is that
Really?
what?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Anyway, NSA.
Yeah,
Bad stuff.
They've fucked
Stop
up
spying
again.
on the Germans. Stop spying on our allies. Stop spying on Google and Yahoo.
Hey, the British are on board with this Muscular thing, though. So it's not just all us this time. It's also the UK. Nice job, guys. Thanks. You look like you have a question, Joey.
No. I was just going to comment on the muscular part of that. Why is it called muscular?
It's an acronym for something that's probably classified.
Oh, okay.
This is more Snowden leaks. So,
Okay.
on slightly less creepy news, Google showed off some new glass hardware. They have the Rev 2 of the Google Glass Augment. Can we call that an augment? Does it count? You plug it into your ear now.
So Google Glass right now is the Explorers Edition, which is the one that we've been using.
Yeah.
It's $1,500. They announced it last year as a developer-only thing, and then they got people like Robert Scoble and all the tech reviewers to use it.
And me.
And Will.
Thanks.
And I included you in the tech reviewers. And
Called out Scoble, though, I noticed.
because he's a scumbag. And the idea was that the people who would actually pay $1,500 to use it would be the evangelists, because there's a lot of cognitive dissonance when you're spending $1,500 on something. Either $1,500 is a lot of money for you to buy any piece of technology, which it is for the vast majority of people, everyone here included.
That is absolutely true.
If you're spend $1,500 on something, you don't want to admit that you bought something bad. You're gonna use it to its fullest. Or if $1,500 isn't a lot of money for you and you're just a rich scumbag, then you're gonna want to show it off, and you have ego issues. And so
You're all about the scumbags
either way,
today.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of scumbags. Either way, they got what they wanted. But I think that the biggest win for them is that when they eventually announce the real price for Google Glass, it will be much cheaper than $1,500. So by comparison, the rumor is $300. It's be 1/5 the cost. Then they're going to get a lot more people potentially on board.
So I've noticed that you've slowed down with wearing them. You wore them pretty much every day for like 2 weeks.
I can't wear them over my glasses.
Right, that's the same problem
So
I have.
I only wear them and take pictures.
So it's good that you mentioned that, because the new ones.
So
how'd you find the camera? Okay.
Not good at all.
Yeah, that's where I ended up.
Terrible for multiple reasons, which we run about very soon.
Yeah.
The Explorer Edition is very close to the final. At least that's what Sergey Brin has always said.
I think the idea is that the screen is final, the shape is final, and hopefully I hope that they improve the camera, because that's the real weak spot on the whole thing. The new version adds some things that were much needed, though.
So the fact that there is a new version is new information, and Google announced that there will be a second version of the Explorer Edition. They're not calling it Google Glass 2, but this version will have an extra port for a mono headphone, because the bone conduction, the way Google Glass plays audio now, is that the part where the battery is stored, there's a little capacitive.
It's just a speaker. It's a speaker that touches the back of your skull.
Touches your skull, and you can hear, but it's very vibraty and noisy.
It doesn't get loud enough for a lot of people. It's kind of hard to differentiate any kind of real sound on. And it makes for terrible phone calls.
And so the new one will have a port that will include a mono earbud that you can just plug in your ear. It looks really goofy.
So it's kind of like the Agent Smith earbud in The Matrix, right? Except for it doesn't jack into the back of your head.
Exactly. And it's a cable. I don't like that.
I want one of those little clear plastic thingies. That would be awesome.
But the other thing that the new hardware will have is compatibility with prescription lenses and more sunglasses, shades, which they didn't demonstrate in any of the videos.
That's a good thing, though. I mean, that's the real shortcoming. They did actually. There is a photo of one of the guys on the Google Glass team wearing a pair of the original Explorer Edition attached to a pair of glasses. Like, we've even talked to Adam about doing it. I think he's going to build a clip for his current edition that'll clip onto his glasses.
Because the titanium frame is outside of the hardware that's on the right part of the Google Glass. Everything else is just to get it to fit on your head.
Yeah.
But for people who paid $1,500, those scumbags, for the Explorer Edition, the early one, they can upgrade to the second version hardware.
It's unclear.
Unclear whether there will be a fee involved, but if you bought Google Glass before October 28th, then you, at some point in November, will have 60 days to redeem your glass. Change colors if you want.
It's a one-time only.
One-time only.
Change colors.
And probably get a new battery as well, which is something that everyone should do.
Well, I mean, the whole thing should be new. There's still no word on iOS support on an iOS native app to add things like text and GPS to the glasses if you're an iOS user.
Are you sticking with orange?
I think might go for a little more discreet color, since this seems like it'll be the final choice, at least until next year when they roll out the $300 ones.
Salmon.
Ginger white. Slate gray.
Ginger white, just blend right into your
Pasty white skull. I thought maybe the blue.
Freckles.
Bring out the color in my eyes. So that's glass. Unrelated glass news. A Google Glass user got a ticket guys,
For wearing the glass in the car?
for wearing the glass in the car. She was getting a speeding
How would
ticket.
you argue that?
What do you mean?
Let's.
Are you the cop or are you the speeder?
I'm the cop. You're the
Can I
speeder.
go to the steering wheel?
You don't. You can.
It'll
mime
help
it.
my imagination.
You can close your eyes.
Okay,
and do
okay.
that. Boop, 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 boop.
Oh shit! I'm getting a speeding ticket. I'd better pull over.
I'm on the motorcycle, so
Oh,
one
okay.
foot down, and I hear the music. Boom, boom, boom. Walking up.
What
Knock,
seems
knock,
to be the
tap,
problem,
tap on the
officer?
window. Windows go down.
What seems to be the problem, officer?
You're a scumbag.
Wait, that's not very nice. I'm just an innocent civilian driving
do you know
down
why
the
I pulled
street.
you over?
I was going 107 in a 35 zone.
That's not right. License and registration, please.
Here you go, sir.
Let me see. Let me see your hands.
They're on the wheel, sir.
Uh,
They're sticking out of the window. I'm safe. I'm not going to try to shoot you or stab you. We're cool.
I'm giving you a citation today for wearing.
No, you got to ask me what's on my face.
No. I know what's on your face because that's why you got the ticket.
No, I got the ticket for speeding.
Okay. Well,
I was going 107 and a 35. You think they're not going to ticket me for that?
That
That's
doesn't
crazy.
matter. It's the Google Glass that matters.
yes, you pulled over for the Google Glass.
Was I driving too fast, officer?
Nope.
Really?
You were not driving too fast.
This is the Autobahn.
No, you could.
You're fine.
The ticket was for driving too fast.
Oh, fine. You're driving too fast.
I'm very sorry, officer. It won't happen again.
You broke the law. Also,
I can't express my apologies strongly enough.
I got to meet some quotas. Here's a ticket, $500.
But okay. So yeah. So she got a ticket for speeding,
don't
A
understand what
legitimate
happened.
ticket for speeding.
and then also got a ticket for using a TV in the car while driving. That's the
In
moving
parentheses,
violation,
Google Glass.
and it was her Google glasses. So
Is this the first? Is this the
How-
How
far
would
as
you
I'm
talk
aware-
your way out of the Google Glass part of the violation?
you would say, "Oh, they weren't on, officer. I was just wearing them. I forgot that they were on."
I can see the screen right there. You're looking up at me.
But it's not
I see
on.
The time.
Well, it's because when I looked up to see you outside of the car, it turns on automatically.
How dare you?
I
I have
wasn't-
a lazy eye.
I'm blind in the right eye. 'Cause I wear an eye patch under here most of the time.
You spent $1,500 on that. You can afford a $500 speeding ticket.
But my kids are going to have to eat bologna this month because I spent $1,500 on these dumb glasses, and now I have a $500 speeding ticket on top of that. I wonder if Google will pay for this.
Only one kid because you sold the other to get the Google Glass.
Hey, Google, I'll trade my second kid, who's a little bit of a dim bulb,
You
for a
gotta
pair of
come up
Google
with
glasses.
a way more clever. First of all, props to the police officer for recognizing Google Glass.
Well, he did
Because
it.
sometimes you can out-tech
He may
the
not have
police officer.
known. Yeah, you've done this before.
out-tech them.
Oh,
Sorry, I have a lead foot. Oh,
No,
I'll let this one slide.
That's not out-teching the police
no,
officer.
it's like the time that Norm was going to get a ticket for using his phone while the car was driving, and he was like, "Oh, I was just changing the song on my MP3 player."
Oh yeah, that's there you go.
That-
totally legit. And
No, it's not. You're not supposed to do that.
And as the cop got out of the car to come over to the driver's window, made eye contact in the rearview mirror, side mirror, so you
Yep.
knew I was looking at him, and with one hand connected my audio cable into my phone,
Reached for your 9. Wait, no?
the headphone jack,
Uh-huh.
plugged in my phone to prepare for the story.
Do you think he
That
wasn't
was some
watching your
fast
hands?
thinking. It was down here on the side, below. It was in the cup holder. The phone was in the cup holder. One hand, made eye contact. Oh no!
You reach
I
him
know,
with the
I
gun
know what
hand,
I know what he's coming up here.
You know what
to
makes
do.
cops nervous? Seeing somebody's
Yeah.
arm move underneath
Reaching
the-
down under
Very
the seat.
subtly plugged it in. Do you know why I stopped you? I have no idea, officer. Were you texting? No, I was using Spotify.
What do you
before
say?
Spotify.
What do you say? Do I look like a 15-year-old
I was
girl?
sha-
I'm not fucking texting.
I said, no, I was just changing music on my radio. Use Spotify. And I pointed to my phone. Pointed. Didn't grab, didn't reach anything. It's pointed. The sigh that he gave out sigh was the most satisfying. You still can't do that. I'm going to let you go with a warning.
Does the
Since
warning go on your
then-
permanent record?
No, warning doesn't go. Since then, follow the rules.
Yeah.
What a victory.
That is not fucking true at all. I see you text all the goddamn
What a
time
victory.
from your
No,
car.
no.
Constantly.
No
Oh, yeah, there's
texting.
a documentary about texting.
Yeah, it's
There's
real
no,
bad.
No, texting back car is bad. Don't text. You can use Siri.
Well, you can't.
I can use Google Now.
Okay, that's something you can do.
Hold the home button down and then say Google. Okay, Google.
Okay, Google.
Don't text while driving.
I
please.
think that after having used the glasses while driving, I'm a little mixed on this because if you're using them for GPS stuff, I find that the glass to be much less distracting than trying to look at your phone in the center console down out of your field of view, or even like an in-dash GPS screen. Like
And it only pops in when you need to turn coming up.
and it gives you a half mile. It gives you an appropriate amount of distance warning, so it's actually quite good on that stuff.
I think that's leagues safer than
yeah.
than a phone on your lap.
On the other hand, you can also do a bunch of really dumb stuff with Google Glass while you're driving. Like now you can watch YouTube videos while you're driving, which is a profoundly bad idea. You can also do things like, send voice emails that are going to be really distracting and hard to compose and all that stuff. So
the apps are really terrible. Like the New York Times and the Mashable apps they're real spammy.
And they're low value.
And very, very low value.
The Twitter is the only thing that is the only app that I've used that's even remotely valuable. I haven't gotten deep into butt tumblers, so I don't know if getting constant feeds of porn into my headset is going to be something that's going to be distracting or not. I have to assume probably a little bit of a distraction, but yeah, I like the apps are not real awesome. Evernote's pretty good.
Email?
If you're into
That's
that.
a good thing.
Email's okay, but because I couldn't set it up to filter just people that I need to actually get emails immediately from, and instead of everyone, I turned it off because it was too spammy. And I think they didn't add Google app for your domain support, which is what I really need, until after I'd handed it over to Norm to try. So yeah, we'll swap ours out when they have the plan live next month or tomorrow or whenever it happens. I'm interested to see what the second Rev hardware looks like, and I really hope
exactly the same.
No, I mean, I really hope that the camera's better. Like the camera is the biggest disappointment on that thing. If it had a great camera and if it was something that we could actually use as a dedicated camera too, it would be a really amazing tool. But the quality on the video is so bad that it's difficult. Like it's difficult to justify using. Next up, Google's secret barge.
In San Francisco, if you look toward Treasure Island, there was a mysterious barge right off Treasure Island.
Is it the thing? Is this the thing?
Composed of 4 shipping crates.
Oh, it looks
stacked
like
on
shipping
each other.
containers. Yeah.
They are shipping containers, and local news. This is where local news and sources.
KTLA.
No, KPIX.
KPIX.
San Francisco.
KTVU?
KTVU is channel 2.
Oh.
KPIX is channel 5. CBS. Welcome home. Neither of those news channels I follow.
Which one is the home of NCIS?
That's CBS.
Okay.
CBS is NCIS and
CSI Miami.
CSI all the shows.
Okay. And The Big Bang Theory.
CBS?
Yeah.
It does.
And Survivor.
And Big Brother.
And Big Brother. Okay. I know which one's which now.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Our local news is reporting that this is actually Google is building out a marketing center / store that is secretly off Treasure Island.
Wait, it's a
on
secret
barge.
base? Like a floating
It's a
base?
secret floating store that they're building. So when they are ready to launch Google Glass, they're going to pull the barge to the pier, to Fort Mason, and let people walk on to buy Google Glass.
That's
as
bananas.
opposed to renting a building and building out there and then revealing all their plans.
So
It's like a food truck, just
Yes, but
a Google Glass boat.
talk about a scummy thing to do.
why?
No, I'm just,
Oh. They have a long history of like love affairs with shipping containers. Like they have their data centers are like they ship computers to data centers pre-built in shipping containers, and then they just jack the shipping container into the data center, and like that adds more capacity. So they do a lot of neat stuff with shipping containers. I'm interested to see what this thing looks
here's
like.
the problem with Google's thing is that they have to stop construction on it because they have no permits to build. They couldn't get a permit to build on their barge on the water. And the reason they couldn't get a permit because they wouldn't reveal what the purpose of it was for.
Why don't they push it out to international waters where they can do whatever the fuck they want?
Yeah, you can
Right?
I think it would be more
Casino.
it'd be
Gamble out
costly
there.
Yeah.
to haul
Human
out
trafficking.
materials.
Do no evil.
Play some-
Google threw it right out the window the moment they got to international
Google
waters.
craps and some
Yeah.
Boxing.
Google blackjack.
Some
Boxing matches.
yeah.
Yeah. Keep their data centers
fisticuffs.
safe from the NSA. Right.
absinthe, some Cuban rum.
Yeah, Cuban cigars.
I like this Google
Does
barge.
this thing still happen?
Cuban
International
cigars?
water.
International waters is way more than 7 miles.
Yeah.
Like that used to be the thing is like in Raymond Chandler books, they'd go out 7 miles and you could do whatever the fuck you wanted off of LA, but that's not
people
really the
and
case.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Cuban products can still. I don't know.
No
I
one
don't know.
knows you're there.
It's 12
right?
nautical miles.
Well, all right.
But I think the Coast Guard patrols way beyond 12 nautical miles. Because 12 nautical miles is like the Farallones. I don't know.
What are the rules for international waters? Like,
It's international law of the sea.
is it piracy?
Yeah, whatever. Johnny Depp's there. I don't know what happens in international waters.
Yeah, I feel like any conjecture on my part will just be.
Well, like I feel like I think that you have to follow the rules of the last port you were in, right? Like when you're on a cruise or something, then when you get out to international waters, that's when they flip on the casino.
It's usually
The slot machines
It's
turn
really
on
quick.
then. Yeah.
Like when you get on a cruise ship, it's a couple hours. You're gambling.
And then they start selling booze to minors.
And then because the first cruise I went on, I was 20,
Yeah.
and I went up to the bar, and they're like, "No, you gotta wait until this time." So like 7 o'clock hit, and I was drinking and gambling.
Yeah, exactly. And then and then like the human trafficking stuff comes out like 50 miles. It's not 12 miles.
That's after midnight.
Yeah. This is taking a dark turn, this podcast. Nexus 5 launched November 1. Hey, Norm, that's Friday.
That's the rumor.
They had a Google Plus event yesterday that I didn't care about at all. Did anybody pay any attention to that? Google Plus event? Anything?
Nexus 5, which everyone you know pretty much everything there is to know about this thing. Made by LG, 5-inch device. It might be $350. 16 gigs.
It'll be 4G this time,
though. With LTE and. It looks great. There was a whole 8-minute preview video that was leaked online. Releasing that on the 1st would be a great way to take the wind out of the iPad Air launch.
Do you think that was an official leaked preview or an actual leaked preview?
Actually, Google's terrible at these things. Terrible with their leaks.
I heard that Dell laptops stink.
Yes. So people who, first of all, Dell now is a private company bought back by Michael Dell.
Yeah. No longer is he selling used cars. He's back to computers.
Dell users who bought the Latitude 6430U, what a great name, laptops, many users have reported that their laptops, when they arrive, smell of cat urine.
Wow, that is a very specific bad smell.
Very, very specific. People in the forums, Dell forums, thought that a cat had sprayed their laptops or the laptop.
Like a cat pissed in the UPS box?
Yes, and even after they returned their laptops and got replacements, still smelled of cat urine. Dell assures customers that it is not a biological hazard.
No cats were harmed in the making of this laptop.
It's the new Dell smell.
I bought a house once that the person who had the house before me had let their cats just pee in a corner in the living room.
Cat pee does not go away easily.
So I had to tear out the carpet, obviously, because it was 35 years old. But it had soaked through the carpet into the floorboard. And after maybe 2 weeks of bleaching and soaking that floor every day, it still smelled like cat pee the moment you got anything moist on it. So I just had to cut the floorboard out and replace it. That was the only way to get rid of the cat pee smell. We burned the board in the backyard. Had a big bonfire. It was really cool. So yeah, the Dell laptops stink. You heard it here first. Tesla announced that their West Coast supercharger network is now open, which presumably means they are close enough that you can drive on an 80% charge with a Tesla Model S from, let's say, San Diego to Seattle. Is that true?
San Diego to Seattle?
Yeah.
What are we at there? 800 miles?
Oh, it's way more than that.
900?
Way more than that.
1200?
Here to Seattle, here to Portland is 10 hours, 600 miles. And Portland, Seattle is another 3 hours, another 150 miles. So we're talking about 750 miles from San Francisco to Seattle.
Yeah,
and then 350 miles from here in LA, so about 1,000 miles.
Okay. Oh, wow. Hey, Google Maps has a fly option now.
Oh, really?
This is crazy. I've never had this before. So I typed in San Diego to Seattle, and it says, if you fly, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it cost $181. That sounds like a really good deal.
That's just like an average of the airlines and the current.
I think that is looking at nonstop 7 or 8 flights per day.
How many miles between San Diego and Seattle?
It is 1,261 miles to drive.
Ah, that's right. I forgot.
And that's
from
going
LA
up
also
5.
San Diego.
That looks like it's going up 5 the whole way pretty much. And it says it'll take 20 hours and 31 minutes.
Whew.
So that is 3 to 4 charges, 5 charges on the superchargers probably. So that seems about right. Elon Musk said that the East Coast network will be live in the coming months. So you'll be able to do the same thing on the East Coast.
I think someone just broke the record for driving across America and did it in 28 hours.
That is I did in college a drive from Phoenix, Arizona to Knoxville, Tennessee in 31 hours, which was really like that was the kind of thing that breaks you.
Sounds, yeah.
It was like a lot like Oktoberkast, but in a car. We listened to a lot of Navajo radio stations. It was a dark time in my life. New Lenovo tablets. They announced an 8-hour, 7-inch, 12-hour 8-inch tablet. Is that right?
Yeah, Android tablets. They're weird, stumpy. They look like
Wait, they're Android tablets? They're not Windows 8 tablets?
They're Android tablets.
That's crazy.
They look like the tablets Sony had.
Okay, the Xperia line, or the other ones.
I don't remember if they were Xperia, but they have some weird stand. It's like it's angled, so it's like thinner at the top than at the bottom.
It's
and
a
they're really
wedge?
it is a wedge. That's right. That's the word. And relatively cheap, long battery life is what they're going for. But the big news.
This is the Kutch news, right?
The big news is that Lenovo has hired Ashton Kutcher as a product engineer.
The Kutch.
A celebrity product engineer.
We're talking about
The man who portrayed Steve Jobs.
The man who portrayed Steve Jobs and was a spokesperson for Nikon and all those Nikon point-and-shoot commercials.
And also, dude, where's my car?
And also
Oh,
famously
yeah.
lost his car.
he was Stifler's buddy.
Dude.
Dude.
Was he dude or was he sweet?
He was sweet because
Wait.
Stifler was dude.
I'm sorry. Did he? They said one, but had the tattoo of the other.
Yeah, he
In
had
his
sweet.
back, he had sweet.
I
Yeah,
think.
Sweet, yeah.
I want to believe that he still has that on his back.
It's not. I think that was probably.
You think they did that for reals for the movie?
Oh man.
We're method actors. We just get
So he joined.
Oh no, I was wrong. Kutch had dude. Stifler had sweet.
There you go.
There are people that have dude and sweet tattoos on their back when you Google this, like civilians.
Oh no.
There are a lot of people
That's worse than the Zoom tattoo.
who. Oh, this is so bad. So bad.
Ashton Kutcher joins the exclusive club of celebrities who also have become product directors at tech companies.
Hold on, this is different. He is a product engineer.
Yes, he is an engineer.
So that means he is
So-
in the busting out the CAD
much
software.
Much like Alicia Keys was the creative director of BlackBerry at one
Yeah.
point.
what's Justin Timberlake doing? He's the MySpace engineer.
Yeah, he launched Facebook, and now he's doing MySpace.
Shakira was T-Mobile's collaborator.
Really? I missed that one.
Yep.
Lady Gaga
Lady
did
Gaga
Polaroid.
was a creative director of Polaroid.
Yeah, the glasses that you couldn't see through and took pictures
And I believe will.i.am was
for Salesforce.
Salesforce.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah,
It was actual hardware.
No. will.i.am is buddies with what's his name? The Salesforce guy. Mark Benioff. will.i.am and Benioff are totally tight.
Who's the Yammer guy?
Huh?
The Yammer guy. Is
No,
there-
Intel is will.i.am.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yes, will.i.am
Intel's a
always comes to
director.
Dreamforce.
Director of Creative Innovation at Intel is will.i.am.
Director of
Dude.
Creative Innovation.
Hey guys, can I change my title? Can I change my
You
title?
too can be a director of
Can I be a
Creative
director of creative innovation? This stuff is
So-
so fucking stupid.
So Kutch, as a product engineer, has already been to Beijing to learn from the R&D teams at Lenovo.
That's great.
He's already switched over to Android.
That's perfect.
Boy.
He switched.
So this is like when Jessica Alba represented the Surface, the Windows Phone 8, and then she kept tweeting from her iPad, right?
That was Oprah also.
Oprah did the same thing. So like all this stuff is literally just, hey guys, we need somebody to come out that's cool and people like and trust to be the face of our product, and we're going to give you. What do you think? What do you think you get? How much do you think the Kutch cost for something like this? A few $100,000?
No.
$1 million
No,
bucks?
no.
It's
Several
gotta be
$1 million.
Multiple millions, yeah.
For, You're talking about a celebrity to pay him to switch to Android? This has got to be the plot of the next Entourage movie. FYI.
Adrian Grenier is BlackBerry
Adrian Grenier
hires him.
Is hired by what other fledgling? It can't be BlackBerry. It's too cheap.
Has to be RIM. Could be
Could be
HTC.
A lot of easy jokes for Turtle and drama to
Yeah,
make.
rim job jokes.
For Rim, because they've already been rim job jokes on Entourage.
It has to be. This has to be.
There's nothing too lowbrow for Entourage.
That's
That's
gotta
the
be
magic
cold
of
open.
Entourage.
That's got to be Adrian Grenier, Vinny Chase, down in his luck. Now
They all go to the desert to
you gotta
destroy
hook
their
up.
iPhones.
he got to hook up to use BlackBerry, because that's what Ari uses. BlackBerry.
Yep. Yeah. That's.
Oh man, this totally makes sense now.
The story writes
That's
itself.
that's how the Entourage movie got greenlit. BlackBerry is footing a lot of the cost. It's all speculation. In
You don't say.
in an ABC News interview about his new role as a product engineer for Lenovo, Ashton Kutcher says time will tell, and he says he learned a program when he was 19 years old.
Oh, right. He's a biochemical engineer. He studied biochemical engineering, right?
What?
He's a smart dude.
And he says, if you ask some of these other celebrities what a MySQL database is, they probably wouldn't know, but he knows.
Did he give us an explanation?
No.
Oh, okay.
I every time somebody announces one of these celebrity deals, I imagine the episode of Simpsons where Danny DeVito turns out to be Homer's brother, and he has a car company, and Homer goes to Detroit,
Is
and
that Danny DeVito?
it's Danny DeVito, yeah,
Danny DeVito
plays Homer,
plays
Herb.
Herb Simpson?
Yeah, I don't think his name's Simpson. I think he's just Herb, Uncle Herb.
What? No.
Google, go to Google. So he goes there and he builds the Homer, which is the car for every man, and it's the dumbest car ever made. I have to imagine there's a team of people that just follow around the Kutch when he comes to see his buddies at Lenovo, and like, I can't even imagine what that car. Guys, I think my phone's a little bit too big. Do they dial it back down a notch? I don't even fucking know what this means. Why would they want Kutcher? Why? Why, Joey?
I don't understand any of this.
Why? I'm moving on. I've had all of this I can take.
So what, is he spearheading the new phone? I missed
I
the
don't
first
even.
part of this.
Who knows?
All right.
They paid him money and he's going to be in ads. That's the takeaway.
That's pretty much what I'm getting from this.
Yeah, that's what these deals I think usually mean.
And an Entourage sequel.
And also the Entourage sequel is about the Kutch convincing Adrian Grenier to switch to BlackBerry and be the face of BlackBerry.
Spending too much time drinking
gotta be a B-plot.
and Jeremy Piven.
God, that would be so good.
No, it wouldn't be. no, it wouldn't be.
In the dumb, yeah, it would be good. There's a Typing of the Dead sequel out for PC. I have not played this yet, but Typing of the Dead is one of my all-time favorites.
I saw that on the big Halloween Steam sale.
Yeah,
Was that
it's out now.
fun game? What's going on?
So Typing of the Dead was a House of the Dead, the light gun game,
Oh, and you type
and you type the words that pop up under the zombies.
Not only was it in the mid '90s, I guess it was late '90s.
Late 90s, yeah. Dreamcast.
A popular spin-off of the House of the Dead, which was originally an arcade game, then came to Dreamcast.
Yeah.
But the Typing of the Dead became so popular in its own right, and they did great things, like because it was one of those shooting games where like you have the cutscenes where it pans out away from the first-person view, and you see like your character, doing the third person. But they changed the models, so you had Dreamcast backpacks and
that was so good.
keyboards in front of you. So your character models in game would even have keyboards.
You had the Dreamcast keyboard, it was super weird.
And also it actually became an arcade in its own right. And you could go to Japan
really?
and play Typing of the Dead in the arcade.
Oh my God.
With a keyboard. Unfortunately, the new Typing of the Dead, which is called Typing of the Dead Overkill, does not have the character models with the keyboards.
Oh, no Dreamcast backpacks?
And no Dreamcast backpacks.
Oh.
$10 on sale now for this week. I don't think anyone actually learned typing with Typing of the Dead.
I played Mavis Beacon and all that stuff.
Mavis Beacon was not a real person.
But I learned typing.
Mavis Beacon was a fake lady.
I learned how to type by playing Quake World and not having, in the days before voice chat, and needing to be able to tell people what was going on, like in the split second before you died. So
There was
just
Mario teaches typing.
There was
T
that
and
rabbit
blam
one.
out a word. Yeah.
I learned on that rabbit game. I don't know,
Rabbit.
maybe
I don't remember the
early.
rabbit game. It's like Frog Fractions, but for typing.
Yeah.
Nintendo, in their financial report this week, announced that they sold 300,000 Wii U's during the July to September quarter. This is not very many Wii U's. That's pretty much what I got there. Finally, two more things. Microsoft bits. Microsoft Surface is, I think, the official tablet of the NFL on Fox. Did you say you watched a football game this weekend, Norm, and saw Surfaces?
The Niners game this weekend was in London.
England?
London, England.
Why would they have a football game in London, England?
Because NFL is trying to expand its reach by getting people excited about American
They
football.
wanted soccer hooligans?
in London.
Okay.
So teams such as the who we play, Jacksonville Jaguars,
Okay.
will play 4 games over the next 4 years of their home games in London. The team that's
At Wembley?
by the way. Yes.
That's great.
The stadium of the real football
Yeah.
team in England. But while watching this game, all the sidelined advertisements were Microsoft Surface, and when they cut to the announcers halftime, Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, they all had Microsoft Surfaces in front of them, which they did not touch, and I checked the entire time. Didn't even look at. They just props sitting in front of them.
Somebody came up, set it up, and
Yep.
just all right. Watch out for that.
Walked
Don't
away.
touch it.
Don't touch it.
Yep.
Don't touch it, Terry. Alex Navarro, our former coworker from the Whiskey Media days, tweeted a picture the other day of a guy sitting on a subway car. The subway car was decked out with Surface 2 ads. There was a guy wearing a Surface jacket using a Surface 2 on the New York subway underneath the Surface 2 ads, which I have to assume
Was a plant?
was a plant, like a guy sitting there so he could answer Surface 2 related questions. Alex said nobody talked to him the entire ride that he was on the train.
So they plant these guys underneath these heavy advertising spots.
I can't imagine there's a guy walking
you
around
know
with a
what that
Surface
is.
2 jacket just randomly. Oh, I'm going to wait until the Surface 2 train comes along. I don't even know what's going on there. And finally, Titanfall, which is the Respawn Entertainment game, the team that broke off from Infinity Ward, who originally made Call of Duty.
Game looks good.
Game looks real good. It is an Xbox 360, Xbox One, PC exclusive. The first,
That's not really exclusive. That's more of a
well, that's what they mean when
We're
they
on
say
everything
Xbox
but
exclusive.
Sony.
but Sony.
The PC
yeah.
is a little bit. There's a little. It's on PC.
It's on PC.
It'll be out on PC. It'll be on Steam. It's a
It's a
Source Engine.
Steamworks game.
No, maybe not Source Engine.
It's not Source Engine. It's
but
their own
it's
thing, I
Steamworks
think.
game, right?
It's going to be, it's not on PS4. The first game, at least. The sequel may be on PS4, but at least for the first game, there will be no PS4 edition during the entirety of its life. And that's it. That's it for news, unless there's anything else that I missed. I feel like that was a bunch. Let's blast through some what we've been testing and check in with our sponsors, Norm.
This episode of This Is Only a Test is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website or online portfolio. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase, go to squarespace.com and use the offer code TEST. It's not too hard to spell. T-E-S-T.
It's not TSET.
T-E-S-T.
T-E-S-T. There's no number or anything after that. It's just T-E-S-T. Nope. That's pretty simple. So let's talk about what we've been testing, Norm.
All right.
Number
1 on the list.
is something that, Joey just went off, I think, to the bathroom. So we'll come back to number 1 on the list. Number 2 on the list is the Kindle Paperwhite 2013 edition. Some people are calling this the Kindle Paperwhite 1.0B. I think they're implying that it is a very thin revision to the original Paperwhite. We posted a video this morning. I've spent the last month and a half, probably 6 weeks, using that thing. It is awesome. If you have an original Paperwhite, you absolutely should not buy the new one. Just keep the old one. It's the same. If you have any other ebook reader, the new Paperwhite is awesome. Is kind of where I end up.
I think at some point, Amazon's just going to release a Kindle Paperwhite or Kindle and say that it comes charged and you never have to charge it ever.
You mean it'll have just solar cells on the front, so it just keeps topping itself off?
Maybe they'll do solar cells, or they'll say, when it runs out of charge, if you can drain this, then we'll give you a new one.
That's great. Just chuck it in the landfill. We'll send you a new one right away.
Maybe not. Maybe mail it in.
Okay. I I really like e-ink readers for reading prose and novels and text and stuff without pictures. It's really nice. It's super light. The battery lasted, like literally we waited until the battery died or was close to dying on the Paperwhite to do the video. It took almost 7 weeks. It went from like September 3rd to October 29th or 28th for the first charge. So it is a really nice piece of hardware. Highly recommend it. Also, I've been testing the Kindle Fire HDX, which is the 7-inch version of the Kindle Fire. It's still about the same size as the last generation. I haven't entirely decided how I feel about it yet. Its performance is great. It's a really nice piece of hardware. It's great if you buy a bunch of stuff from Amazon. The app selection is pretty good, second only to the, it's a third place, but it has all of the high notes that you need in Android apps.
Is this the second Fire?
This is the third Fire.
The first one wasn't.
First one was
great.
bad.
Okay.
It got better over time with software updates, but it was not a good experience.
I remember that not being good at all.
No,
How
no.
was the second? Second was
pretty good.
Okay.
It was equivalent to the original Nexus 7. So
Is that who this is aimed towards? Is Nexus 7 types of iPad Minis?
I think it's I think that they're looking at they're making a strong push toward this being the tablet you give your kids, because they lean into that Kindle free time thing pretty hard, which is basically it's like Netflix, it's like Amazon Instant Video for kids. So but it also includes apps and books too. So you pay $2 or $3 a month and you get a basically subscription to age appropriate books, movies, and games and TV shows for your kids. That's stuff like Dora and Dr. Seuss books and stuff like that. It's really good if you're invested in Kindle, in Amazon's ecosystem. If you've bought a bunch of movies from Instant Demand, if you are a Prime Video subscriber and get Instant Video, if you if you're okay buying apps from Amazon's App Store, it's quite good. Like, it is a really nice piece of hardware. The new one is crazy fast and the screen is really pretty. And battery life is great. It lasts like 3 or 4 days. It seems to have better standby time than the Nexus 7 2013 edition, the second Nexus 7. Now, it is not a content creation device at all. The mail client is merely okay. The web browser's quite good now, but it's not something you're going to use if you're into like Google Docs and stuff like that. All of the Google ecosystem stuff is a pain in the ass to get on. I haven't actually gone through the process of trying to install all that stuff yet, but it seems like it's going to be a hassle. And it's not like it doesn't have cameras and stuff it has cameras, but they're for Skype, not for taking pictures of things, stuff like that. So yeah, it's cheap. That's the big benefit. I think it's like $230 or something.
So in that same price range as the Nexus 7.
It's a little cheaper. It's $229, and I think that the Nexus 7 is a little bit more expensive than that, right? The 16 gig one. It also has special offers, so you can get the ads and then turn them off if you want. So that's the Fire HDX. We'll do a video for that next week, I think, and let you know how that is. Joey, you've been making a big transition.
Yeah,
it's a time of change in your life.
I made the switch.
People have been asking about this.
That surprises me. I didn't know it was I know in the video world it's a debatable thing.
We have a lot of people in the video world that listen,
yeah.
I think. And so last year or the year before, I guess, Apple announced the next version of Final Cut, which is the editor we've always used.
Yeah.
And it was it's kind of
the editor
break.
that I've used for about 9 years.
Something you're familiar with.
Something I'm very familiar with, yes.
When they did that, they broke a lot of it was essentially a whole new piece of software, kind of modeled more on Final Cut Express or iMovie than Final Cut 7, which is what you and Vinny and Drew and Anna and all the video team at Whiskey used. And it's been fine. You've been using Final Cut 7 in the interim, but it's a 32-bit piece of software, so you can't use more than 4 gigabytes of RAM. And it seems like it's not particularly well supported at all anymore.
Yeah, Final Cut 7 was one of those pieces of software that was strange because it was really the definition of prosumer, right? Like I felt like it was accessible enough for someone to learn on a weekend to like edit their family videos.
Mm-hmm.
But it also had a great place in the production world, in production houses.
And a lot of like Hollywood production houses cut movies and
there were
TV shows and commercials.
There was
and
a
stuff
time
on
where it
set.
was really coming up as like, you know, a lot of editors were favoring this over Avid, and then there was a slight decline going back towards Avid. But yeah, it had multicam editing, it had a lot of support with a lot of the hardware that post houses were using.
And it wasn't. It was like $400, right? $300-$400 or something
There
for
was
7 or 6.
There were like discounts kind of placed all over the place. You can buy like batch packages, or like I think I bought mine on a student discount, which was like $400 to $500. But I think like $900 or $800 was like the list price, if I remember right. I didn't do a lot of purchasing of
of
that for houses, but
So then they rolled out 10, and that didn't support a lot of the stuff that pro houses use, like shared SAN storage and stuff like that.
yeah,
right?
like multicam editing, a lot of like the media management stuff. Everything was kind of, it wasn't dumbed down, but it was leaned. It now leaned itself heavily on the consumer spot and away from the pro the professional market. So a lot of production houses were kind of left with this like, are we going to update? Are we going to move to Premiere? And a lot of production houses just kept with 7, like we did for 2 years.
Yeah.
And there are tons that still use 7, and will use it until the wheels fall off.
And the hope was that either 10 would get to a point that you'd be able to use it, going forward.
Yeah.
Or something else would emerge from the ashes, and we'd see either an updated version of 7 or a new piece of software. And it seems like you've made a decision.
Yeah, so I kept my eye on both Avid and Premiere, both things I've used in the early on. Like I started editing about 10 years ago, like started with Avid, moved over to Premiere, and then I had the opportunity to use Final Cut 7, and then started using that, and just kept on that because a lot of the freelance jobs I was getting was Final Cut. So I have my eyes on both. I thought either Avid was going to create a more friendly version,
Like a small shop version.
yeah, because it's intense. Avid, you look at Avid.
Do you have to buy hardware from them still, or is it
No,
you can buy software
It
now
used to
and
be
put
you
it
had
on
to
a
buy like a
workstation?
dongle and all that, but you can just
Yeah.
buy the Media Composer as a software package. It's very expensive, but it does a lot, and it gives you a lot of
What's
knobs.
like $10,000 very expensive?
No,
Or-
I want to say if you were to buy like Media Composer, I think it's somewhere near 1,500.
Oh, that's not okay. So I mean, it's expensive if you just want to noodle around, but if you're like a working videographer and you're making content and selling it to people, then $1,500 isn't too much to spend every few years.
You should check me on that. Though. I'm just guessing
Oh,
here.
okay. I'll keep talking. I'll look it
But
up.
what it was like they didn't offer, like I said, Final Cut 7 offered discounts. Premiere offers these student discounts. They're in touch with schools, and they found ways to get these in the hands of people who didn't have the money to put down on a program like that. So not as many young people were learning Avid, and I was at a slight advantage early on in the Bay Area for learning on Avid, for being like for filling jobs that people didn't like, going to applying for places that were saying looking for someone who's Avid, Premiere, and this.
Okay.
I could jump in there, whereas is not a whole lot of other people could because everyone was learning Final Cut.
It's $1,000, by the way.
1,000, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
That's
terrible.
not bad. Yeah.
So and then either that was gonna create some kind of software that was a little more accessible for somebody, or Premiere was gonna step up. And
Seems like Premiere has stepped up.
I feel like Premiere has stepped up. I just jumped into 6. What was the one before Creative Cloud? 7?
6. CS6.
So I started with 6 just a couple weeks ago, and I gotta say, going from Final Cut 7 to Premiere is probably, for someone who's looking for as little resistance or as the least amount of change, that's probably the way to go.
Has Adobe, like, they let you bring keyboard shortcuts and stuff over?
So you get your profile. If you go up to the keyboard profiles, you can just say, hey, Final Cut 7. I'll use that profile.
Oh, that's great.
And the thing I've realized that over the years, and I've really changed the keyboard to be my own thing. So I just spent the next week just remapping everything, which I kind of feel like is a cheat. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little hard on myself in learning a program, but I feel like I should learn what the program wants me to do first, and then change it. Right?
Well, but you have muscle memory and stuff like that, and like you just hit comma to make a mark without thinking about it, and that kind of stuff. I don't think there's any reason with the beautiful thing about using tools that are configurable is that you can shape them to your workflow rather than adjusting yourself to them.
So I guess the big argument for people who are pro Final Cut X was, you guys are dinosaurs. You should learn to adapt to this new way of editing. We've come up with this new way of thinking, this new way of editing.
Yeah.
And you guys just want to stick to your old archaic tools.
But there's weird stuff. Like, I'm a Final Cut 10 user, and I'm not a professional videographer, but I just kind of hack around and can slap a audio file on something.
Yeah.
And there's problems with it. Like, there's no way to do master. There's no master way to make changes to the master audio mix and stuff like that. In order to do that, you have to line everything up, get all your levels right, and then join those clips together in one all the audio clips for the whole project in one compound clip, and then make your master, like, compression, audio compression, limiting, and stuff like that.
Huh.
Which is it's super janky.
That sounds crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and it's like I assumed that I was doing something wrong because this is how I've always done it. I went to Google, and that's like the recommended way. They're like, yeah, you could either export all the audio, mix it down, and then put it back in. Just crazy amount of work.
So that's that kind of leads me to my point of why I switched. I'll get back to that. But,
yeah.
So I brought all the hotkeys and the shortcuts, and then I had little gripes, like, oh, I used to be able to do this in Final Cut 7. I can't do this here. That's kind of dumb.
Well, and Adobe has a pretty big there's a pretty big suite of tools that support Final Cut 7. I mean, just like there is with support with Premiere, with Sound Booth and After Effects and that kind of stuff.
The dynamic link stuff is great, but I mean, just like little things. Like, I can cut a clip. I'd cut a clip, and then with Final Cut 7, you see your clip. You see like little red marks in your clip, meaning, hey, this is all part of the same clip. And if you want, right-click, rejoin it. Premiere doesn't have that, which is really weird. They didn't have that, I should say. So I'm sitting there, coming up with this list in my head of all these things I didn't like. 2 weeks later, it got updated. All that stuff was like
CC.
there and fixed. Yeah, CC.
Oh, that's nice. So the promise of the subscription to the software is paying off.
Which is something like that as a Final Cut 7 user for this amount of time, updates was not something I was considering or thinking about.
We're lucky if they update it to run on Mavericks.
Yeah, well, yeah. So that was kind of neat. Like, oh yeah, this is something that's supported now. I can get these updates and feedback or whatnot.
They can also make it worse.
It could also make it worse, as they did with Final Cut.
Dude, the Creative Cloud installer updates are driving me crazy. It pings you every day. Hey, there's a new version of Bridge.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a new version of Font Manager. Hey, there's a new version of Flash Media Encoder. Hey, we've got an update to the updater.
For some reason, I'm keeping all of my old versions, so I'm having updates on CS5s and CS6s and Creative Clouds. The dynamic link stuff, like you said, is fantastic.
Yeah.
So in Final Cut 7, what I would do is I'd get a clip, and I would export it out, export out a clip, import that into After Effects, do some After Effects work on it, render that back out as another clip, bring that clip into Final Cut 7. With Premiere, you just right-click on a clip or a segment, send to Adobe After Effects, sends it over there. You just do all your work there.
Yeah.
All you got to do is save, and then it links in a selection. It links in that Adobe composition into your timeline.
And that stuff just works. It's really nice.
Takes 5 minutes. It's super quick as opposed to like this 15, 20-minute process that I have to do with 7. Same with Adobe Audition, where it's my main audio editing audio mixing program. You just send that clip straight into Audition through Premiere. Everything it links itself together, and then now you have this nice kind of cycle of programs you're going through.
So then, what about the other side of the publishing side? Because when you're in a small production environment like we are, you don't hand it off to somebody else who then does the mastering and all that stuff. Does the Adobe side, because Final Cut 10 at least has really nice tools that you just blast it straight to YouTube or send it to Compressor or whatever. Yeah. Do you have that stuff on Premiere as well, on the Adobe side as well?
You have another program. You send it out to Adobe Media Encoder, which I'm starting to get used to. We used that early on at the Whiskey Media days. That was our main encoding tool, and then we would upload that at the time to our S3.
Yeah.
Now we're using YouTube. YouTube doesn't, as far as I know, YouTube does not have any FTP information they're supplying.
No.
And all Adobe Media Encoder allows you to do is to FTP it to places.
Oh, so you can't hook into the APIs.
No. So I can't tell it to go send it here. What I have been doing a little bit of, if it's late at night and I'm about to leave, what I've been doing is just exporting out a master, and you use this all again through Adobe Media Encoder, or you can use it the one installed in Premiere. But it's nice that I can do a batch export and still edit. With Final Cut, you'd be stuck in this exporting screen.
So you go out and have a cup of coffee and come back 30 minutes later.
And then maybe it'll be done. With this, you can just send it off to encoder, let it export out the master, and continue editing or edit on another project. But what I've been doing is exporting out the master. And I'm still using Compressor for like the automatic YouTube stuff because they've been good on like, sending that stuff straight to YouTube after compression.
I think that I used to have a tool that would let me set a watch folder to automatically upload to YouTube. And we could do that with Compressor.
Yeah, I can set
which is
watch
kind of a pain in the
folders
ass.
for Compressor Compressor is a little harder, but Adobe Media Encoder has a built-in watch folder functionality that's really easy to use. But that's only for encoding and compressing, not for the uploading.
Right, we can probably get an automatic YouTube uploader going for you, so you don't have to babysit that stuff.
So that's if I'm still getting used to all that.
I mean, it's a big change.
It is, and again, it's only been 3 or 4 weeks, and
would you recommend Premiere for people who are trying to get off 7?
If you're trying to get off 7, I think Premiere is the way to go.
Okay.
I haven't used Sony Vegas. I can't say anything about that. I've never used that. I've only used the big 3, what I call the big 3.
Have you used the new version of they just updated 10, or they're just getting ready to update 10, Final Cut 10?
No. So this is building off of the Final Cut.
I assume they kind of talked about it a little bit during the keynote last week. It's not out yet. I don't have it yet.
At some point, I should just play around with that just to see how it is.
I'm interested to see like the stuff like the audio mixing and stuff like that. It's kind of it's a little frustrating. I wish they would fix that stuff. It's good enough for me on most stuff, but then when you get into multiple audio tracks and stuff like that, it gets real hinky.
Premiere is kind of doing the thing that Final Cut 7 did early on in that in getting editors to kind of back their product. At the time, like I think Cold Mountain's editor.
Yeah,
using that documentary about editing, which I recommend if you haven't seen it.
What's it? Do you remember what it's called?
The Cutting Edge.
Cutting Edge.
That's not the movie about the ice skating.
No.
Okay. It's also a good movie. You should watch that too. It's really good.
No, that's a good movie.
But they were getting editors to cut movies on this, and then put testimonials out. The Coen brothers are Premiere's big
advocates.
Yeah.
Again, this is just like getting the Kutch to be the spokesman for.
Well, except for these guys, the
Lenovo.
Coen brothers edit their own movies.
They do work.
Under
Fair enough.
A fake name, but they edit their own movies on.
Really?
Final. I want to say, maybe Avid. Yeah, they use one of those like.
They use a big editing bay.
Yeah, and I think both of them.
Louis C.K. uses Final Cut 7.
That's true.
But Final Cut 7, like I said, people still use it. The problem with me, the reason I kind of came to a stop on that was a couple of reasons. Our talking room uses different cameras.
Yeah.
Different codecs.
More modern cameras.
Final Cut does not like multiple codecs. It would not let me.
7.
Final Cut 7, yeah. Would not allow me to take in different codecs and do multicam editing. I'd always be. Okay, so there's a lot of things that Final Cut wouldn't work at, and a lot of us editors, I feel like, have gotten really good at working around these pitfalls.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, that's the natural course of something, especially when a product is kind of end of life like that. You work around it, and eventually you're working around enough stuff that it just makes more sense to learn something new.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's where you're at now.
Like there was, and like you said about that Google search I was trying to do something on Final Cut 7. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I Google searched just like, how do you do this? And the forum lists I got were people saying, all right, first, it was a general error. I got a general error. I couldn't export anything. Like, all right, how do I fix this? Go online, like, all right, here's my solution. You make a copy of this project, unlink all your media, open up the copy, delete the original, relink them. Like, this is what we've become. Like, I'm okay with doing this, and that's not okay.
Well, and frankly, the Final Cut stuff and Compressor are so kind of sketchily supported, and the errors are so like there's 2 errors that I've gotten from Compressor, and it seems like every error from Compressor has the same message. Compressor is the tool that you use to take your exported master and then compress it down to work on YouTube or Vimeo or whatever other services, or master it for DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. And like it has all these cool features, like the ability to cluster encode, so you can send it out to 12 machines and compress big long videos like this podcast. much faster than you would theoretically otherwise be able to do that, except for it never fucking works. Ever.
Yeah, I've had problems with that cluster. And
Yeah, it's like just flip the switch on quick cluster, make sure you're all on the same subnet, and magic will happen. Except for magic never happens. So, yeah, it's the Adobe stuff at least is supported.
yeah, I feel like they're making some good changes and really pushing forward with this production professional editing world.
That's great. So we're running a little short of time. Norm, anything you want to talk about that you've been testing?
Nope, Surface 2.
Surface 2, it's out here right now. We're going to shoot that video next week too, I think, right? And it'll be up the week after.
Yes.
We have a couple of good questions this week, and then we'll call it a show.
Emails?
Well, but we do the other one.
Emails.
'Cause it's, we don't do emails. We do
Emails?
No.
Questions?
Boom.
If you have a question for This Is Only Test, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Keep your questions short. Make sure you don't sound like you're recording from the underside of a train carriage. And we like hometown trivia. It's always nice to get that. Our first question comes from Keith. He wants to know, at what point is a 3D printer a resource and or a necessity for my kids? I have a passing interest in getting one and view it as a tool for my kids to learn as they grow up, but they're a bit young right now. I have a 4-year-old boy and a newborn girl, so the design and production of their ideas and a tangible item seems like an intriguing concept for them to be introduced to from a very young age. If the 3D printer movement starts to broaden, these skills will give them a leg up in the future. Should I wait for printers to mature a bit, or is earlier the better for them to learn? Norm?
Great place for Keith to be, because you wait 3 years and your son will be 7.
Yeah.
Which is the perfect age.
I'd say so with but these things are dangerous tools.
Yes.
There's a lot of potential pinching and burning.
Wait 3 years,
And then
son will be 7, and 3D printers will be 3 years more mature.
that is definitely true. The thing I would say is once the kids are able to use like entry level CAD programs like 123D Design or 123 Object and those kinds of things, then get the 3D printer and help them use it with supervision.
There'll be a influx of explosion of apps designed for children to 3D model.
Yes, we're already seeing that stuff.
To be sent directly to 3D printers.
The other thing is, if you want to see if they're interested in it before you spend a bunch of money on a 3D printer, or even like $400 or $500, then you can. The thing to do is to help them model and then export it to any one of the 3D printing services like Shapeways or something like that. So it may not be as immediate as having a 3D printer in the house, but it'll give them the same kind of tangible rewards and teach them patience at the same time, which is a valuable
Nothing
skill.
wrong with also getting your kids a sewing machine.
Yeah, I actually have been looking at sewing machines lately. It's funny. I used to know how to sew, and I haven't done it in 10 years. So
Gaining weight has taught me how to sew buttons on. That has been
that's good.
kinda rad.
You're taking them off, moving them over, or you blasting them loose?
I blasted one off. And had
Oh, that's not good, Joey.
Yeah.
You should have done Guns for Kids again. It's a good opportunity for fitness. Yeah, so I wouldn't get a 3D printer for a 4. Like, just to be clear, a 3D printer has a hot end that is 200 degrees Celsius plus. That is very, very hot. You will burn yourself instantly without knowing that before the pain receptors register that you've burned yourself, you will have a very bad burn on your finger if you touch that. The motors are high torque, have gearing systems that you could crush a finger or a knuckle or something like that in if you put your finger in the wrong place. So like even if you have a 7 or 8 year old who's pretty good with the mechanical stuff, you want to supervise them until you are super confident that they are going to be using this safely.
Some clay. Sculpey.
Clay's good, but I'm serious. But there's no reason they can't start with 3D modeling at a very young age, and that is something that'll give them a leg up. And I think it won't be long before we start seeing the 3D printing equivalent of Kinko's popping up in big cities, where you can take your 3D print and send it over to them and go pick up the print a day later or whatever.
It's something you could do with your kids.
Yeah, it's 3D printing.
3D
It's for
printing.
kids.
It's for you and your kid.
Chris from Cheyenne here. I just looked down at my iPhone and realized the default clock app icon is a widget showing the real time. How long has this been going on? Am I just a dummy? Norm? Do you remember when iOS added a real life clock icon?
7.
You are correct. It was 7. It was not in iOS 6. You could hack it in with a jailbreak app, but the seconds hand even moves. I didn't realize that the seconds hand moved. This is bananas. Transfixed. So yeah, it's a brand new thing in iOS 7, so it's been a couple of weeks. You're not a dummy. You just didn't notice it for a couple of weeks.
I want that.
Stop it, Joey.
You know, Joey, it's 2 years. It's time. You can get a new phone at any time. Verizon has a great deal on iPhones right now. And I guess that'll do it for us this week. For Joey from Norman Chan, I'm Will Smith. We'll be back next Thursday with another edition of This Is Only a Test. Go watch Oktoberkast if you haven't. Donate to the charities. Enter to win awesome stuff in the raffle.
Have we announced when the raffle submission dates end? And
So we'll probably
doing a raffle. We're doing a big
I can export.
physical raffle. I want to do a physical raffle.
You want to print out 1,000,000 sheets of paper and cut them?
No, he's do numbers.
Get
Ping pong balls.
We could do ping pong balls.
Ping pong balls.
Can we make a
Rad.
blower?
We can make a blower. I can be.
We have a fan. We can get a box fan and a big box and put a tube on the top that only fits one ping
All
pong
you need is
ball.
a plastic jar, a big plastic bucket of.
Well, you need a fan to blow the ping pong balls up to the top. It should be like the lotto, right?
We should hire Kutch to pick the. It's pick the ball out.
Get a Kutch for the ball. It's going terrible places. I think what we do is make a big plexiglass box with glue.
You don't need to make the box. You just buy a box and drill a hole in the bottom.
Put it over top of a box fan. Put the ping pong balls 1 through 10 in there. But we'll fire it up 5 times.
No. The effect is only works when you have like 100 balls.
I don't want
99 balls.
But we'll have way more than 100 entries.
Yes, but then you extrapolate.
Scale up.
So you have one. You just do it 3 or 4 times. You put the ball back in, turn the fan back on, wait until another number pops up. It's random. It's for science.
You're saying doing by digits?
Yeah, do it 1 digit at a
10
time.
balls. I would rather do 100 balls and have each of the numbers 10 times.
Yeah, but then
Same distribution.
no, but you could end up with a number that you don't have. So if we have 3,000 entries,
No, I'm saying it's the same principle that you're talking about.
Yes.
Where the digits that you pull out are 0 to 9.
yes,
But you have 10 zeros, 10 ones, 10 twos, 10 threes in the bucket so that you have 100 balls that are flying around.
yeah, but I don't think you get a random distribution that way.
Why not?
Because when it say a 0 comes up first, the odds of getting a 0 for the second digit are lower.
But you put the ball back in.
Put the ball back in, just like you would with your example.
Oh, well, yeah. Then you just have a bunch of excess balls for no reason.
No, not for no reason.
Well,
to
because
make
it looks cool.
spectacular.
Okay. I will investigate making a box fan lotto-style plexiglass blower.
It's never going to happen.
Probably not, but maybe. You can donate through the end of this November 15th. The URLs are tested.com/kids, tested.com/electrons, and tested.com/doctors for Child's Play, the EFF, and Doctors Without Borders, respectively.
Just go to Oktoberkast.com. That also works.
Or you could go to oktoberkast.com with a K.
The promo code is TEST.
Thank you guys so much for both supporting us on Oktoberkast and watching the show every week. We really appreciate it. And we will be back next Thursday. Bye. Oh, today's outro comes from Madden Man. This is the first one he submitted in a while. It's pretty good.
Hi there, I didn't see you.
Tested.
Put it wildly out of context to make it sound like lunatics.
So fresh,
Clean.
yeah, and done twice.
Presumably that's something you would test for.
Would have an enormous battery.
Were they not great?
Tested.